On a cold October evening in 2016, in what seemed like an ordinary American college town, 19-year-old Emily Carter finished her late shift at a small cafe just a few blocks from campus, unaware that the next 2 hours would permanently divide her life into a before and an after. The streets were unusually quiet that night. The last bus had already left, and her phone battery was dangerously low. Tired, distracted, and eager to get home, she stood beneath a flickering streetlight when a dark sedan slowly pulled up beside her. The driver rolled down his window and, in a calm, reassuring voice, offered her a ride, explaining that he was heading in the same direction. He looked ordinary: clean haircut, neutral expression, steady tone, and nothing about him triggered immediate alarm. After a few seconds of hesitation that would later replay in her mind countless times, Emily opened the passenger door and stepped inside, believing she had made a practical, harmless choice at first. The drive felt normal. Soft music played in the background, and the man, who introduced himself as Daniel, made polite conversation, asking about her college major and future ambitions. He listened carefully, almost attentively, nodding at the right moments, speaking just enough to appear friendly but not intrusive. Yet within minutes, something subtle began to feel off. The car turned onto a road that did not lead toward Maple Street, her neighborhood. When she gently questioned the route, he smiled and said it was a shortcut, encouraging her to trust him. That single word, trust, hung in the air heavier than she expected. The streetlights gradually disappeared, replaced by long stretches of darkness broken only by the vehicle's headlights cutting through the night. Then she heard it, the unmistakable click of the automatic door locks engaging. It was a small sound, almost insignificant, but in that moment it echoed like a warning siren in her mind. Her heart began pounding, but instead of panicking, Emily forced herself to breathe steadily. As a psychology student, she had studied behavioral responses to stress, and somewhere beneath the rising fear, she remembered a crucial concept. Predators often feed on visible panic. If she screamed or fought too soon, she might escalate the situation beyond control. So she remained still, scanning her surroundings, quietly assessing options. Daniel's tone shifted subtly. It became slower, colder, as if he were no longer pretending. The car eventually turned into an abandoned industrial zone filled with empty warehouses and broken windows that reflected the faint glow of distant city lights. He parked near one of the structures and turned off the engine. Silence swallowed the space between them. When he turned toward her, the friendly mask had disappeared. In a voice almost casual, he said, "I've done this before." The words were not shouted. They were delivered with chilling calm, as though he were describing a routine task in that instant. Emily understood she was not dealing with impulsive danger but with someone who believed he was in control. Later investigations would confirm that Daniel had no significant violent criminal record, no outward signs of instability. He maintained steady employment and a seemingly average social life. Yet beneath that normal exterior was a calculating mind that carefully observed patterns and vulnerabilities. He selected targets who appeared isolated and tired, individuals unlikely to attract immediate attention. He preferred psychological dominance before physical force, deriving control from fear itself. But in that warehouse parking lot, he made one critical miscalculation. He underestimated the power of composure. Instead of begging or screaming, Emily began speaking in a calm, measured voice. She asked him questions, not accusatory ones, but reflective ones. She asked why he chose certain people, whether he ever felt misunderstood, whether he believed anyone truly listened to him. It was a risky strategy, but she sensed that he craved validation as much as control. As minutes passed, the tension shifted slightly. He talked more than she expected. He described feeling invisible in his daily life, overlooked and insignificant. Emily listened carefully, nodding at moments that encouraged him to continue. Every second he spoke was a second she remained alive and conscious. Inside, her fear was overwhelming, but outwardly she projected patience and curiosity. Nearly 40 minutes passed in this psychological exchange. Her mind raced, calculating possibilities, watching his movements, waiting for even the smallest opening. Eventually, she said softly that she was not going to run, that she simply needed air because the car felt suffocating. The request was simple, non-threatening. Daniel hesitated, studying her expression as if searching for deception. Perhaps his confidence convinced him she was already defeated. Slowly, he unlocked the door and cracked it open slightly. That tiny shift, the sound of metal releasing, became her signal. Without warning, she lunged forward, pushed the door wide, and ran into the darkness. She did not look back. Gravel cut into her bare feet as she sprinted across uneven ground toward the distant outline of a highway. Behind her, she heard movement and a door slam, but adrenaline drowned out everything else. Her lungs burned, and her vision blurred, yet she kept moving until headlights appeared in the distance. Waving frantically, she stumbled into the path of an approaching truck. The driver braked sharply, shocked by the sight of a terrified young woman emerging from the night. Within minutes, emergency services were contacted. Police arrived at the warehouse, but Daniel had already fled. However, the industrial area was equipped with several surveillance cameras connected to nearby businesses. Within 48 hours, investigators identified the vehicle and tracked it to his apartment. What they found inside confirmed their worst suspicions. Personal belongings that did not belong to him, maps marked with isolated areas, and evidence suggesting connections to unsolved disappearances. He had operated carefully, avoiding detection through routine and patience, but Emily's survival disrupted that pattern. Her detailed statement, combined with physical evidence and camera footage, led to his arrest. Authorities later revealed that without her escape, additional victims might have followed in the months that followed. Emily struggled with nightmares and the weight of memory, yet she also carried a quiet strength born from survival. During interviews, she repeated one statement that resonated with investigators and the public alike. The scariest part wasn't how he looked. It was how normal he seemed. Her words highlighted a disturbing reality: true predators often do not appear monstrous. They blend into daily life, offering smiles and polite conversation, masking intent behind familiarity. The case forced the community to confront the uncomfortable truth that danger does not always announce itself with obvious warning signs. Sometimes it arrives calmly, offering help beneath a streetlight. Emily's decision to remain composed, to think strategically rather than react impulsively, ultimately saved her life. Her story serves as a reminder that awareness and mental resilience can shift the balance of power, even in moments of extreme vulnerability. While the man who targeted her now faces justice, the deeper lesson extends far beyond one town or one night. Somewhere, at this very moment, someone may be encountering a stranger who seems entirely ordinary. And perhaps the difference between tragedy and survival will come down to a single choice, a single observation, or the courage to act at precisely the right second. In a world where evil often hides behind normalcy, Emily's escape stands as both a warning and a testament to the strength of the human mind when confronted with unimaginable fear.